it's just a very like sobering thing to read it in print from the people doing it when it's like you were called a conspiracy theorist or a white supremacist sympathizer for pointing this stuff out for so long. And
It
that's
isn't.
why I think we have to stay vigilant as well, because obviously they know that people like us are going to just laugh at it, but it's the next generation of people that they're hoping will accept the message that they're pushing.
Yes.
The genre breakdown of top 25 in demand diverse.
Yeah, somehow Batwoman was the most in demand.
Oh, I
I
didn't
even
see
know it
in
was a thing,
demand.
so
in demand.
No.
I
By
literally
who?
had no idea it even existed.
I know, by who? By
Is this some of
by
their
who?
like we're gonna see who's talking about it on Twitter? There's tons of people talking about Batwoman. Doesn't matter if it's negative. It's that means it's in demand.
Renegade Online.
I still don't think that that's going to happen for a very, very, very long time, because right now Hollywood is only focusing on sequels and prequels and
There's no talent pool left in Hollywood
nothing.
to create
I mean,
anything
they've
new.
been ideologically
No.
captured, so I don't see them like
Yes.
changing back to focusing on good stories for a while now. And if you go to the next page of the CAA brief, they actually
Yep.
kind of lay it out.
Well, what I was going to say is, like, yeah, she's so right. It's been captured by ideologues, and when that happens, they don't know how to create. They're not creatives. They're just destructive. Like, that's all they do is destroy and deconstruct. Like, they don't have a clue how to be creative the way Hollywood of old used to.
Yeah,
Pretty much.
God,
no.
is that Simu?
It is.
Yeah. Speaking of the Shang-Chi, the guy who launched Phase 4 of Marvel right into the toilet bowl.
And on
Anyway.
this page, it says,
Go ahead, Tricia.
for the purposes of this report and in line with recent studies from relevant organizations, we have chosen to use the term diverse to identify individuals from non-white racial and ethnic backgrounds. In accordance with racial and ethnic categories on the U.S. Census, diverse includes Black or African American, Native American and Alaska Native, Asian American, Native Hawaiian and other Pacific Islander, as well as Hispanic and Latino individuals. Therefore, non-diverse refers specifically to white, non-Hispanic, or Latino individuals. In categorizing a television series debut as diverse or non-diverse, we reference the current percentages of non-white individuals in the United States, which is approximately 40% of the population. We recognize that in characterizing a series as diverse, more than half of the series' regular cast may still be white. Recent reports project non-white individuals will become the majority in the U.S. population by 2045. Therefore, we further segmented diverse debuts into two subcategories: moderately diverse and highly diverse. We defined diverse debuts with at least a 40% but less than 60% non-white cast as moderately diverse, and diverse debuts with at least a 60% non-white cast as highly diverse.
So what would you like to be, Mr. Showrunner, if you want your bigger paycheck?
Apparently not Latino.
Yeah.
That's not going to get you
It's
anywhere.
true. Yeah.
And East Indians, didn't hear anything about them in there.
Right.
Were they
Yeah.
like? Wait a minute, I got questions here. Like that's a very non-specific specific list.
It's just a very like sobering thing to read it in print from the people doing it when it's like you were called a conspiracy theorist or a white supremacist sympathizer for pointing this stuff out for so long.
Yeah, and this is why, and I'm not even kidding. What was I watching the other day? We had this. It might have been on one of the Apple TV series or something. I'm trying to remember. But I mean, this is why you get characters that are so bizarre, like that or people portraying the role or playing a character that you wouldn't think. Like, okay, we need to check like 5 boxes with this one cast member because there's only 3 people in the cast. So we need one of them to be a black female lesbian disabled person in a wheelchair that's neurodivergent. So you'll get that in a show, and it's like, why? Oh, what is she doing? Oh, she's the superhero. What? It's like, wait,
What?
Yeah, so you get the weird casting and character designs literally to fit these nut job, these impossible to follow. How can you ever create a story with when you're stuck in a box like this from the get-go? And they try to say that, oh, this isn't really this. We don't have to do this, but it's but you do, and you are, and we see it like in every freaking thing. And we're at the point now where, you should know that we know that it's virtue signaling And I'm sorry, you're not going to get anything but laughter and ridicule from us at this point because there's nowhere left to go. We're just going to laugh at it, and we're not going to watch it, and you're going to keep losing money. You know, because it's just silly. It's forced, and that's the thing. There's nothing organic about it, and that I think is the real crux of the problem. Is that it really
And that's
isn't.
why I think we have to stay vigilant as well, because obviously they know that, you know, people like us are going to just laugh at it, but it's the next generation of people that they're hoping will accept the message that they're pushing.
Yes.
Capture them when they're young, you know. And you guys watch a lot more like TV shows and movies. You're more into the Hollywood stuff than me. If you go down to page 12, 12, 13, and 14 of this show the broadcast, cable, and streaming platform shows that they categorize in their like little diversity scales.
This one, the supply group and the demand gap.
No. Page 12. So keep going.
So, oh no, look what's at the top of the diversity list. Oh
Batwoman.
no.
Batwoman's the most
It's
in
Batwoman,
demand.
Stephanie.
gosh.
It's Batwoman. Now, for those
That
of you who
movie
know,
was-
please, I don't
that
wanna...
show was freaking terrible.
Oh,
That
let's
show was
please
garbage.
Let's not
I was,
ever
I was,
talk about
that
show
was
again.
one of the shows. I was actually kind of looking forward to it because I liked the actress. I can't remember her name anymore. I actually liked her, and I was like, okay, they could do something really cool. And you know what? I don't care what anybody says. I watched all of those CW shows. I was
have
very
friends that will
into
love
the
them.
Arrowverse. Yes, it went
But not
downhill,
that
but
one.
I was willing to give Batwoman a try. And it was just a garbage show. Regardless of diversity, it was a garbage TV show.
I didn't even know that they came out with a Nancy Drew show recently.
Oh, they
I-
did?
Did?
When
Well,
was that?
Nancy Drew's on the list, so they must
Oh,
have.
crap.
You're right.
Did they
Nancy.
make her black?
She must have been black because she's
Yeah,
way
no
up on the
idea.
list.
It had to be.
Yeah. Okay, see, like the genre breakdown of top 25 in demand, diverse, script. Okay, so now the Orville. Now I wonder how they figured that one. Now that's a Seth MacFarlane comedy show, and that was most people regard the Orville as better Star Trek as a parody, which is what it is. It's a parody of Star Trek. It's a better Star Trek show than anything Paramount has produced since the last 5 years when they started making Star Trek TV shows. But I don't know, I really don't know the rest of these very well. The Good Doctor, I know that one. That's actually a really good show. I don't know how they consider the diversity casting in that, but I mean, Batwoman at the top of the list. Thank you. That is kismet right there.
They're not
That's-
wrong. It's incredibly diverse.
Oh, it is. But no, when they call it, listen, Stephanie, the genre breakdown of top 25 in demand, diverse.
Yeah, somehow
You-
Batwoman was the most in demand.
Oh, I didn't
even
see
know it
In
was a thing,
Demand.
so-
in demand.
No.
I
By
literally
who?
had no idea it even existed.
I know, by who? By
Is this some of
by
their
who?
like, we're gonna see who's talking about it on Twitter? There's tons of people talking about Batwoman. Doesn't matter if it's negative. It's that means it's in demand.
Wow, it's weird to look. So what else are we looking at on here though, Kirsch? I mean, what is this chart trying to get really across though?
It's just showing you what they're counting as diverse debuts for TV shows and how in demand they are. And so, like me, I'm someone who doesn't really watch a lot of TV shows. I don't really watch a lot of movies, so I have no idea like how much of this is just complete bullshit because I just don't watch.
gonna
Well, I
it's
mean,
all
here I
bullshit.
can
That's
tell you
not
how
good.
much a lot of these things got canceled after one season,
Yeah,
so they were not very in demand.
Batwoman.
And then
Batwoman,
Well, they
24
got 2 seasons.
Legacy.
Yeah,
like the next
the
page
Black
shows like the
Lightning.
cable TV ones.
yeah, and
I've
this
never
is
heard. I haven't heard of over half of these, so it's obviously bullshit. I mean, not that me knowing it means anything, but you know, the average person that may pick it up, I would usually, at least on Twitter, right?
Yeah.
See that this is a conversation happening, and I've never even seen it on Twitter.
just
Yeah,
for
right?
the record, and this was through when? This was through through 2019. Well, I guess we really didn't have Yellowstone yet, but that show's damn sure too white for this list.
Ha!
But yeah, look at cable. So that was what on earth? Okay.
Uh-oh.
I'm
It
just
just freaked
wondering,
out.
like, in demand by who?
Well, that's what I want to know.
Yeah, who are they polling for this?
And this is kind of what I was
in
asking
demand
Kershaw.
by
I didn't
who?
know.
Because
If
I don't know anyone who was clamoring for a Black Lightning show. Like that
No.
was another CW
What
show.
the hell
and
is
I was
Black
just
Lightning?
like,
Wait a minute, what is that?
It was a CW like superhero show.
it was
It was-
part of the Arrowverse. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure that show got canceled
Isn't it
after.
like
it
a
got
drag
canceled after
racing
like
car
a
or
few
something?
episodes.
Yeah, and nobody watched it to begin. And the weird thing, and that's what I was trying to. I didn't know, Kersh, if you knew like what the goal with this report that Parrot did in tandem, or really paid for, I'm sure, by CAA. Like, what was the idea of, like, who are they presenting? I'm assuming they're presenting this to Hollywood studios, showing them, like, to casting directors. And for those of you who are wondering,
they're showing them, look, this is a business case for diversity.
Okay.
Everyone wants diversity. If you want to make money, if you want to have hit blockbuster shows, you need to have your diverse cast. They need to be at least 40%, ideally 60% diverse. This is what you need to be doing if you want to be getting in tune with the new generation who has this stuff in demand.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm looking at this, and I'm wondering, like, most of these shows, again, I really no idea what these were for. Now, these were cable exclusive. Now, this was before streaming really got big. So, okay, here's what I wanted to see. Streamers diversity demand.
Oh.
Okay, what are the streamers' 25 most in-demand diverse debuts? The Witcher is at the top. I'm really wondering. I mean, I watched season 1 of The Witcher.
Yeah, I watched season 1 of that too.
It lost
Isn't that
me in
with
season 2.
Isn't that the
Cavill.
Henry Cavill, yeah.
show? Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Because
Hey,
pretty much
I-
just watched
I-
it for him.
I've got to be
He
corrected.
ended up leaving because like they wanted to do like weird stuff, and he was like adamant at staying to the source material.
they wanted to like weird it, woke it, DEI the crap out of it, and all. Like by the time you got to the second season, it wasn't even about him anymore, which it's supposed
Yeah.
to be. And they followed like the girl around, and then the third one. So I don't. So I'm trying to look at this going now. Look at what number. The Mandalorian is number 2. Are we counting alien life forms like the Orville for Star Wars?
I have no clue
you
how
had-
they're calculating this,
But
man.
wait-
That's why it's
Yeah.
just like this is so weird to me.
Look at the number 3. Please, everybody in the audience, look at number 3.
What is it? I can't read it.
Say it with me. Star Trek Discovery.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God. Let me tell you, that is like what we talked about a minute ago, how I said like the Orville as a parody was light years better than anything that Paramount was making right now on TV. Star Trek Discovery is the absolute bottom of the cesspool for Star Trek. It's a new show, and yes, it's highly diverse. The captain of the starship is a very strong black woman whose name is Michael.
Of course.
And
Is it really?
Oh yes, Michael Burnham, and she can do everything. Like she doesn't need any of the rest of the crew at all. She can pretty much do everything herself. Like the show is silly the way it's written. There's no reason for it to exist. But yes, it's a highly diversified cast. And the problem was it really wasn't even that in demand because, long story short, Netflix was stroking the check to Paramount and CBS for them to make the show that was going on to Paramount Plus, but then Netflix got to take it after a year. So CBS and Paramount were basically filming the show for free because Netflix was paying for it. And as soon as Netflix decided nobody's watching the show when it gets to Netflix, how come? Because it sucks. They stopped writing the checks and the show went away. They didn't
Weird,
make it.
weird how that happens, isn't it?
Yes, it's
In the manga
crazy.
play? Yeah.
But yeah. Oh, look, I love how Leslie Headland's Russian Doll is on the list.
I don't even know what that is.
Leslie Headland is the one that just finished making the atrocity, the abomination that is Star Wars: The Acolyte.
Oh.
That was the show that got her the job as the
Oh,
showrunner
no.
for The Acolyte. Russian Doll is on there. Harvey Weinstein's former personal assistant, Leslie
Oh,
Headland,
okay.
by the way, just to
Blech.
remind everybody out there. How many times was she in that office on the chair facing the casting couch? I don't know. But yeah. So what else do we have in here, Kershaw?
The next page are just a couple of industry voices, how the future is diversity and how they're amazingly good people. Just the typical corpo, and then they have like their little recommendation page at the end for like how we should go forward as far as pushing our ideology into these shows.
I mean, and this is, let's see, evaluate. Yeah, I see, and look, here's the thing. This is where when people say that, oh no, they're not really doing this. We're not being forced. Writers' rooms and screenwriters and showrunners are not being, put into a box and all this. I'm like, yeah, but you are, because eventually the casting director is the one that's going to make a lot of these story choices when they historically haven't. Like historically, the casting director would say, okay, what do we need? And the showrunner, the writer of the show, the creator, the artist, the genius that's making it, right, would say, these are the characters. We need a cast for this. But now the casting directors are coming in with the showrunners because everything's so corporatized, and they're saying, okay, what kind of characters do you have in the show? well, this is the story. Okay, well, we need you to make this character black. We need you to make this character like a Hispanic female. And I'm like, we actually have friends in Hollywood tell us this kind of stuff will happen. So
Well, I mean, it says it right here on the page, number 5. Proactively source, acquire, and greenlight material where diverse talent can be central to the narrative. Exercise your influence to identify material that elevates underrepresented communities and voices. Be careful to maintain the cultural integrity of these projects and bring in the right creatives and consultants that can ensure that you represent specific communities and cultures with care. So it's like they just say that that's what they're going to do.
Exactly, and that's my point, is that people think, or they try to argue that this doesn't really happen, and I had not read this report before that Parrott did for CAA, and it literally, it says it right there in black and white.
It's
This is
very in your face.
Yes, and it's not only that, it's go out and make sure, I'll read that part again here when you said that, exercise your influence to identify material that evaluates underrepresented communities. Be careful to maintain the cultural integrity. Bring in the right creatives and consultants. Bring in the right creatives, meaning don't bring in any wrong think. Litmus test, and there will be no diversity of thought here. You need to make sure that any diversity of thought is ejected. They all must follow this narrative, and this is why we've seen a lot of Hollywood talent that has just vanished in the last 10 years.
So
They literally have left.
I
They've
have a
retired.
question.
They've moved on.
That's just the oh sorry.
No, go ahead.
That's just the material. Number 2 is the casting.
Yeah.
Yeah, set casting goals that reflect the world we live in. According to recent data for U.S. Census Bureau, 40% of the population identifies as racially or ethnically diverse. Set strategic casting targets that are reflective of the audience watching, and think about how casting decisions can be complementary to the show.
They identify as, or they are?
It says they identify as.
Identify as.
So there's a little.
I am a black
identify as a
Samoan
strong
woman
black
today.
woman.
Yeah, so it's, I can be whatever I want.
Do I get,
And then, like,
do I
when
get cast
people-
if I identify being a strong black woman?
It
When
worked
people
for-
bring up the, like, isn't this illegal? Or like, oh, well, there's going to be a lawsuit eventually, then you just go to number 1, evaluate casting breakdowns and avoid language that encourages implicit bias. When specifying a role as diverse, be sure to check for language that could feed into harmful stereotypes. Consider removing negative identity markers and avoid using prototypes that might affect how people imagine the character on the page. So they're going to have these diverse roles that are earmarked for non-white people specifically, but they're not going to explicitly say that because that could open them up to lawsuits.
Right, I was about to say, this
Didn't
was legal
James O'Keefe
compliance that
say
had
something
this
like
language
that, or
put in.
expose something like that in the Disney?
Yeah, he had
files?
the V of the Disney executive.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they said. They said, like, oh, there's nothing explicitly written anywhere that says we have to do this because legal would never allow it for obvious reasons. And you just have to stop and ask yourself, well, if they want to do this, if this is what they really are passionate about and this is what they want to do, then why wouldn't you have a corporate memorandum? Why wouldn't you have a mission statement that would clearly spell it out in plain language? We're not going to hire white people for these roles, or we're going to hire only black people for these roles, because they know what they're doing is illegal.
Exactly.
It's a
yeah.
violation.
James O'Keefe, I think, like in his Disney files, he said that they use coded language.
Coded language. Yeah.
Make sure you're subscribed to Valiant Renegade and join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern for the live show.